Hey guys, I'm Bethany and welcome back to my channel. I make faith and lifestyle content. I'm 23, I live in Alabama with my husband and our 2 dogs. And today is a very exciting video. It's my January reading recap. I've decided to start doing these monthly because I just love talking about books. And I used to put them in my weekly vlogs, but now I just wanted to have a video separate from that where I could just dive into all the books that I read each month. So January was actually such a good month for reading. So I read 5 books in the month of January, and that's actually was my goal for January, was to read 5 books. So I'm feeling good about that. And I have a couple of them like hard copies and the rest I read on my Kindle. So let's get started. Let's talk about the books that I read in January. So I actually have a notebook where I wrote down my thoughts of all the books that I read in January for this video specifically. The first book I read was Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. And this is actually the last book in the Friend Zone series. And I read the Friend Zone series out of order. So I think I'm gonna review them in the order that I read them and then just review them as a whole. But I'm not gonna give too much away because since I read the last book, it kind of ruined the rest of the books for me. This one I actually got for Christmas. And it's very popular. You could definitely read the books as like standalone books, but they're like a series where each book is about different characters. Each book you kind of see the characters from the previous book. So in this book, a few of the characters are what the first and second book's about, if that makes sense. So this book is about a girl named Vanessa. She's actually a famous YouTuber, like travel vlogger with like millions of followers. She ends up coming back home and having to take care of her niece because her sister just drops off her niece at her house. So she can't like travel and vlog and stuff because she's taking care of her niece. And then one night her neighbor comes knocking on her door, Adrian, basically just like, can you get this baby to stop crying? And they meet, they become friends, and you see what happens. I love this book. It was literally so good, a 5-star read. It's literally one of my favorite books ever. I just fell in love with the characters. It definitely was a slow burn. And one thing about this book, and also just all the books in the Friend Zone series, is they deal with hard topics, but they keep it lighthearted, which I really love. You just feel transported into the book like that you're your friends. You just feel for the characters, what they're going through. You just like literally feel like they're your friends. With the whole Friend Zone series as a whole, that's how I felt. And I wish I read it in order. So now I'm gonna talk about the other 2 books in the series. The first one being The Friend Zone, which is about Kristen. She has a medical condition where she can't have children. Her best friend's getting married and she meets Josh, who is the best man in the wedding. He wants a big family, so she's trying to keep her distance from him. And so that's kind of what that book's about. And then the third one is the Happy Ever After playlist. I don't think I'm gonna share what this one's about because it will ruin the first one, if that makes sense. So I would definitely read them in order. But all the books I gave 5 stars. The whole series as a whole is definitely 5 stars. I think everyone should read it. It's in my top 5 books of all time. But I've also heard people that just don't like the Friend Zone and like this book more, but I thought all 3 books were so good. I would say there are a few like inappropriate scenes in these books, but definitely not as bad as like It Happened One Summer. I loved It Happened One Summer. It was such a good book, but it was some inappropriate scenes. So I don't think these books were as bad as that one. I feel like I was a part of their lives and now I miss them. Like that's literally how I felt about these books. And I wrote for the second book that I cried while reading it because it was just that good. I put each book was better than the last, so I wish that I would read it in order. I'm curious to see what I would have thought about this book if I read it in order, but I liked all 3 of them so much. Literally all of them 5 stars. The whole series as a whole 5 stars. And I just love how the books talked about hard but like important topics. So highly recommend this series. And then the 4th book that I read this month, since that was kind of a series, was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. It's her new book and I love this book so much. I think it almost might be one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books. Reminders of Him is about this girl named Kenna, and she actually just got out of prison for something that she did when she was in high school. So she went back to the town where this took place in hopes for a second chance. And I just thought this book was beautiful, like such a beautiful story. I thought it was such a beautiful story of forgiveness, of reconciliation, of redemption, of a second chance, that we are all deserving of a second chance. That forgiveness is such a beautiful thing. Forgiveness isn't linear. It might be hard sometimes, but I think everyone deserves forgiveness. And obviously I'm a Christian, so I believe that. And I just thought this story showed that so well, that it wasn't a Christian book, but you kind of can see those values of just forgiveness, that even though sometimes like it can be hard to forgive, like there's always forgiveness available. And Colleen Hoover can just do no wrong. She writes such good books, but they definitely are heavy books. I found that this one, I didn't think it was as heavy as some of the other ones that I've read. When you think about it, it wasn't like a light read, but I didn't think it was as heavy as some of the other ones that I've read. You kind of know going into reading a Colleen Hoover book that it's gonna be kind of heavy, but still really good. There also was like a plot twist kind of at the very beginning, which I thought was very fun. You just always feel something after reading one of Colleen Hoover's books. She's one of my favorite authors. I would love to read all of her books, but some of them are just too heavy for me. Most of her books touch on like heavy topics, and so some of them I'm just like haven't been able to read because they are heavy. I loved it. 5 stars for Reminders of Him. One of my favorites of hers, one of my favorites of all time. And it's kind of like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that literally I read such good books in the month of January. I don't know. The last one that I read was Made for This Moment by Madison Pruitt. It says standing firm with strength, grace, and courage, and that's exactly what it talks about. She touches on stuff that happened when she was on The Bachelor. If you don't know, Madison Pruitt was on Peter's season of The Bachelor, and I really like this book. I feel like there was good takeaways, but it's not one of my like top Christian reads, but I did enjoy it. I think if you're like a girl in high school or in college, this would be such a good book. Super encouraging and something girls need to hear. I think it's a great message that you're made for this moment and how to have confidence, how to stand firm in your faith, how to stand firm in your convictions. And she just touches on things that happened on The Bachelor and like how she was able to stand firm in her convictions and what she wanted for her life and what she believed. And so I gave it 4 stars because it's not one of my favorites. Like, it's not in the top of my Christian books list, but I did think it was a good book. If you read it, you'd probably enjoy it. And I did post a couple things on my Instagram stories, snippets of it, because I think there are good takeaways from the book. Do recommend it. But that is my January reading recap, all of the books that I read in January. I hope this video wasn't too short because 3 of the books was like a series, so it's kind of hard to explain them, and I didn't want to ruin, like if I told you what the second book's about, it would ruin the first book, so I don't want to do that. Yeah, but all of the books that I read in January were so good. You can't go wrong reading any of these books. I think they were just all very good, solid reads. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe. I would love to hear what you read in January, what your thoughts are on any of these books if you've read them, and what books you're reading for February. But I think that's it for this video. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I post fun stuff over there. And also I usually post little snippet reviews on my Instagram stories right after I finish the books. So if you didn't want to wait till the end of the month or the beginning of the next month when I post these videos, you can see just like a little snippet of my review on Instagram stories. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stop rambling and I'll see you very soon for my next video. Bye.